be coming. Where? Why, to the North Pole, of course! This is the Polar Express! Where is it? Oh, sh**. Welcome back to the holiday playlist, guys. I hope you guys are having a safe and happy holiday so far, cozied up in your homes. And as always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I sincerely hope you guys enjoy your stay. And hey, just in case you missed it, I just uploaded the last entry in this playlist yesterday. That was my review for Home Alone. I'll leave a link in the end card to those of you who missed it. That was an extremely fun review to record, and I think you guys will really enjoy that. But that was a perennial favorite. Today on the docket is what I think may be the most underrated Christmas film ever. We're looking at Robert Zemeckis' version of The Polar Express, released in theaters back in 2004. And this was, of course, based on the beloved children's book by Chris Van Allsburg, and it's a motion capture animated version starring Tom Hanks as a bunch of characters. I'm serious, he plays like 10 million characters in this. And this adventure is about a doubtful young boy, only known to us as Hero Boy, who takes an extraordinary train ride on the Polar Express on its way to the North Pole to meet Santa Claus. And he embarks on a journey of self-discovery that shows him that the wonder of life never fades for those who truly believe. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with this book. I remember reading it back in elementary school, and I just remember being so in awe by it. I think it was just because of how creative and imaginative of a concept it was. It's a magical train that's taking non-believers of Santa Claus to the North Pole, which, coming to think about it, honestly, if they were to make a movie of this, like if I were my age back then, I probably would have been thinking something like, oh geez, they're doing this? This is just gonna be a Christmas story riddled with a bunch of cliches. But you know what, guys? I find the Polar Express extremely underrated. Not only do I try to pop this in every holiday season, but I honestly feel like this captures the true essence of what Christmas is all about. I mean, the main girl in this film says it from the get-go. It's a magic train, and that it is. And that's what this movie is, just pure magic. Even though the source material was extremely short, naturally you'd want to draw out the runtime if you bring it to film. Normally you'd feel them dragging it out, but I never really felt it drag here, because they are doing so many creative and exciting things with this concept. Just as a couple of examples, the hot chocolate is served to passengers with an acrobatic tap number. The steep inclines on snowy terrains are conquered like a roller coaster ride. And you can't hear the sleigh bells unless you truly believe in Santa Claus, with some excellent sound design technique, by the way. That whole climax with Santa's sleigh, by the way, was really, really cool. It was a spectacle for sure. It almost felt like a presidential inauguration. All those elves at that rally with all the passengers, I mean, just the score by Alan Silvestri, and the sound design with the sleigh bells, it just all melts together so perfectly there. Because for the most part, we're hearing what this young boy is hearing. We're not hearing the sleigh bells at first, but once the boy finally grabs onto it and he says those words, "I believe," that's when he finally tries it again, and man, it's so satisfying to hear those sleigh bells. I don't know why, but it's just a really, really cool filmmaking technique there. And yet, with all these additions, it never really feels like it detracts from what the original source material was trying to say. It still keeps its true essence and its message intact. And that, to me, is truly what makes the Polar Express so magical and so spectacular. Now, keeping on the subject of the filmmaking techniques, you gotta mention Robert Zemeckis and his direction. I mean, you can just tell that Robert Zemeckis directed this film because of all these Easter eggs to all of his old features. Like, there's literally a whole sequence where the main girl's ticket is falling through all this snowy terrain, just like the feather in Forrest Gump. And this CGI, let's talk about that for a second. For 2004, this kind of technology was groundbreaking, and they still use this technique for big video game projects, performance capture, not exactly taking away from the actual actor's facial performance. And it looked like it was gonna open up a whole lot more creative opportunities for film. But alas, this technique has not been used since The Christmas Carol in 2009, also directed by Robert Zemeckis, ironically enough. And this type of film, oddly enough, has not been attempted since. And I think I know why. And that leads me into my main issue with the Polar Express. they really should have gotten a bigger cast for this. I mean, as impressive and as likable as Tom Hanks is in this film, don't get this next statement twisted, because he is one of my favorite actors alive. I love him as the conductor, for example. It's undoubtedly his most fleshed out character he has here. I love how he's so concerned with being late, yet time seems to stand still where they're going, and the know-it-all kid does throw some nice jabs at this. But watch this movie through. You will hear Tom Hanks' voice out of 5 or 6 different people, and that includes Santa Claus. This version of Santa, granted, is really, really cool. I really like how Tom Hanks approaches Santa Claus. He's an enigma. It almost reminded me of how Richard Harris portrayed Dumbledore before he passed away. It was very intimidating to approach him, but he's still very welcoming. Now, my problem isn't necessarily what Hanks did with this film. I think it's extremely impressive, the range he's showing here. But when you hear the same exact voice and you see the same exact face on so many different characters, to me, it doesn't matter who it is. That can be really distracting. And I could just never see past the facts that this was Tom Hanks playing like 7 different people. I mean, besides that little nitpick, I honestly really do love the Polar Express. I have lots of memories with it growing up. It's one that I tend to pop in every year because I think it's Christmas magic at its finest. I'm gonna give the Polar Express an A-. It is a creative, one-of-a-kind, perennial holiday classic in my eyes. While it does take its creative gambles here and there, it never truly loses the essence of what Chris Van Allsburg was trying to do with the book. And that, to me, I think is the most important thing if you're a filmmaker using a famous book as the basis of your project. You can tinker around with it, sure, but never, ever, ever lose the essence of what the original author was trying to do. Have you guys seen The Polar Express? Do you guys enjoy it? Do you not? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you guys are enjoying this content, if you guys want to continue discussing cinema and all things entertainment with me, this is certainly the place to do it. Please consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can, because number 1, it's free. And number 2, if you guys do subscribe, you will be the first ones to know anytime I upload a new video over here. And if you guys enjoyed this video, also, please be sure to leave a big thumbs up on your way out. I'd really appreciate that. And as always, look out for more exciting content hitting this channel very soon, including the very next installment to this holiday playlist being uploaded tomorrow. And we're looking at a really old school, beloved classic, It's a Wonderful Life. Can't wait to discuss that one with you guys tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. That review will probably be uploaded same time tomorrow. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for tuning in as always. Thank you for your support of the channel so far as well. With all that being said, back talk, commence.